I'm Jason Aponte. The guest that I have needs no introduction. We're going to be talking about Dolphins week all through this show. Stay tapped in. Welcome, everybody. Let's go, Niners. My name is Jason Aponte. I'm Jason Aponte, joined by the great Guy Haberman, lucky enough to get some of his time. Guy, it's 11 o'clock in Cali. It's 2 o'clock on my side, but I'm feeling like a Tito's should be passed around somewhere, like that recipe that you gave me at training camp. But Guy, thank you for joining me, man. What's up?
I don't remember, what recipe did I give you in training camp?
The Trader Joe's ginger beer.
Oh, yeah.
That's the go-to. Yeah. So, guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. You guys know who this is. Promo code HAM. Guy, this week has a lot going on in terms of storylines that we didn't even have to make up. And then Raheem Mostert blesses us with all these comments. But let's talk about Kyle and McDaniel. Doesn't it feel like Kyle gets up for these games against his proteges or understudies, right? Like, do you think that Kyle really wants to have this win against Mike McDaniel, somebody he considers a friend?
Yeah, I think he really doesn't want to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about this, like, do you think Mike, I don't know the answer. I would love to ask Mike McDaniel when he first thought that he could really become an NFL head coach. Like, when did he really think this could be a reality? Was that 2 years ago? Was it 7 years ago? Did he think when he came back in from the UFL, like, if I just work hard and, do my thing, eventually I'll work my way up to being a head coach? I don't know. I don't know when that really became a true dream of his, but I would love to know, as long as it's been not just a dream, but like really a goal that he felt like he could reach. Has it crossed his mind ever to just kind of file things away for when he coaches against Kyle? Has he ever kept anything to himself just for when he coaches against Kyle? I would love to talk to Mike about that. Because as well as Kyle knows him, and as well as he knows Kyle, basically everything he knows of Kyle is as an offensive coordinator and as a head coach. And Kyle knows Mike very well, but Kyle does not. He's never coached against Mike or with Mike as a head coach. So there is an element of Mike that, I don't know, I do wonder if it's a little bit of a mystery to Kyle, even as well as he knows him. He's never been around head coach Mike McDaniel. He's only been around, run game coordinator Mike McDaniel. And I don't know. I'd love to talk to Mike about if run game coordinator Mike has ever just, kept a little secret for head coach Mike.
It's funny. I had a chance to talk with him at the Combine. And all of this stuff, sometimes you feel like when you see him at press conferences, you might think it's for show. You might think it's something that it's not. It's really who Mike is. He's been super nice the entire time. He was nice. Cool. He was gracious enough to talk. So, this is the part for 49er fans that feels weird. Any other week, I believe that the 49er fans would root for Mike McDaniel. It just happens to be this week. It's like the 1 week that you're not going to. I want to get your thoughts on this because I feel, the Kyle and Mike dynamic, that's obviously at the forefront. My question would be, how much of this is actually a Mike McDaniel against DeMeco Ryans game? Because I think that the both of them would at least understand each other's tendencies, having coached together for 2 years, right? DeMeco, 2 years as the defensive coordinator. He was there also as the linebacker coach. But who would have the leg up in this chess match? Like, what would one do in terms of tendencies? I think that's the part that I'm most intrigued with this game. What do you think?
Mike would have the leg up, right?
Right.
I think Mike would have the leg up. Now, the flip side is the 49ers players have been practicing either with this offense or against this offense longer than the Dolphins players have, right? So even though in theory Mike would have the leg up because DeMeco has not played a Mike head coached team, DeMeco's guys have been going up against this offense longer than Mike's guys. So, I've thought about it a lot, especially at the beginning of the week. I've had a hard time landing on definitely who has. I think by and large, the advantages and disadvantages come in the player matchups more so than they do in the coach matchups in this game. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I think it's probably so hard. Maybe there will be a moment where one thing that Mike learned or one thing Kyle knows about the other comes into play over the course of the game, right? Maybe. But I don't know, man. I tend to think the differences in this game are going to be more player driven than coach driven.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of what I've been preaching to people about, oh, Mike McDaniel was the sauce and look at their scheme and look at what they're doing. Yeah, personnel helps execute that. You have all world speed at certain positions, and Mike's doing a great job of getting on the ball, and Tua's playing great football. But I think that kind of gets lost in it. And I think that's the overarching theme of this week for the people that aren't necessarily as high on Kyle Shanahan as others. Are they're just kind of waiting to pounce on this game. If Miami comes out and they put up a bunch of points and Kyle's offense kind of looks like it has in certain weeks where they're not executing in the red zone or they're not scoring touchdowns, how many people are just going to completely flip on the whole, like, well, Mike McDaniel was the reason that this offense was like that. So yeah, it's an interesting week. I think that there's like no shortage of stuff, but then here comes Raheem Mostert, guy. Like, what were your thoughts on his comments? Because I read the article, and I do think that I have less of a problem with what he said about the training staff. I believe that happens across the league. I mean, you look no further than his own organization, who could have been seen as rushing Tua back, right, after the injury. And then I don't really have anything to say about, well, we have better talent over here. What's he supposed to say? He's supposed to say, yeah, the 49ers, I missed all that. I guess my gripe is the actually can sling it thing, right? Like and I don't even think that he meant it in a way against Jimmy Garoppolo, but he allowed that to be opened up to interpretation. And I think that was Raheem's mistake. What do you think about that, guy?
Well, I love that like everyone kills Jimmy, and then it's like, wait, how dare Raheem say these things about it? Like, okay.
Right.
I don't think it ends up mattering at all.
Guy, real quick, I'm just going to take this
Yeah.
real quick before we get to it. I don't want to hear about products of Kyle's system. I want to know what product Haberman uses to keep his hair so full of volume and how to keep it so pristine. Guy, would you be upset if I said you have the best hair in the game? Because I think you have a claim to it.
No, that wouldn't upset me. I don't necessarily think it's true, but I appreciate that. To me, the best hair is the hair that can, like, if I don't put product in it, it becomes fluffy. And if you like, to me, the best hair is the hair that without product can just kind of sit and wave. And that's not me, but it's a combination. Currently it's gone through many different cocktails over the years. Currently it's something called Kevin Murphy Night Rider mixed with just like your basic like Axe pomade, which is like, $5 stuff. The Kevin Murphy stuff's a little more expensive, but you don't need the most expensive stuff. It's just about finding the right mix. It's about finding the right cocktail. Yeah.
So yeah, back to Raheem Mostert, and like I said, the only thing that I really had a problem with was just the Jimmy thing. He left that open for interpretation. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he said something just ahead of this game. Like, I'm glad there's a little spice to the game. To me, the part about it is like you look up and he's hurt last week, and then and so like that's the part of it that kind of not cracks me up, but the irony of it is that he was hurt last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, like you gotta be able to play and back it up in the game. Mm-hmm. But even then, like you're not playing against. He's not talking like if he had said something about Fred Warner, I think that'd be, more interesting.
Right, like the comments felt very generic.
Yeah, I watched. Did you watch the Hard Knocks last episode?
Mm-hmm.
That episode starts with every coach on the Cardinals team in a team meeting talking about what a tough guy Budda Baker is. Like, Budda, this is what we want. Can barely walk. Like, yeah, this is football. Like, being encouraged to play with injuries is a pretty common occurrence in NFL buildings. Now, that said, like, it is on the player to stand up and say, no, I don't think I should play like this. It is on the player. And maybe that's what Raheem is doing, is like trying to encourage other guys to say, no, I'm not going to play in this state, whatever. So I honestly, I loved the story like on Monday, Tuesday, but the more this game is just so good. Like, the game is so good. It is the best game on paper this weekend, without question. It's one of the best games left in the league this year.
Yep.
The fact that it's not a Sunday night game It's kind of crazy, I think.
Well, you can't go against the star, right? The NFL wasn't going to take away Jerry's game, right?
I mean, I get it. I do understand it. I'm just like, it's wild that this is not a primetime game. Of all the primetime games we've had, that this is not a primetime game. Even if it wasn't Mike McDaniel, I think part of what makes it so great is you just don't see that. You don't get this. You don't get Niners Dolphins that much, So that's part of what makes it special. Tyreek, Debo, like all these little things. To me, it's a phenomenal game. And that has kind of overridden, because at the end of the day, like, is anybody in that Niner locker room really that mad about anything Raheem said? I don't
Probably
think so.
not. Yeah. I mean, Debo said something, or Menahue said something, but that felt like normal, trash talk in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it is kind of interesting of how many former Niners players are going to be in this game. Obviously Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert, River Craycraft, Trent Sherfield, Wes Welker was the old coach. So I think that's another fun thing about this game. It's like there's so much familiarity. Like everybody will be, hugging before the game, everything after the game, but it's going to be interesting to see because on both sides those guys are going to want to get it done against each other. So let me ask you this, Guy, while I have you for your short time. And make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. And I know you're already following this guy, but, if you don't, Haberman and Middlecoff YouTube channel, that's where you guys need to get the content. Does Kyle need this win for validation? And not just in his coaching, right? There's a lot of talk this week about the 49ers and their opponents. Let's keep it a buck. The Rams are cooked, and the Cardinals are as well. And the Chargers were missing their weapons, and the 49ers have gone on the streak. And I don't care about those things because what they've done on defense is still so impressive. But do the 49ers kind of need this win just so they can calm down the talks of, hey, they haven't really beaten a top team or a high-powered offense?
I don't think they needed to calm down the talk, but I think the talk will continue until they do that. They gave up 44 to Kansas City. The four teams you mentioned, or I guess the three plus the Saints, they've allowed 40 in those 4 games. Well, Kansas City's the number 1 offense in the league. Miami's the number 6 offense in the league. Now, Miami, some people would argue, well, who have they really put up points against? But I mean, this is the way it works. Like, you play a lot of games against the Saints and teams like that, especially this year, right? The reality is, like, in order to win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl, the first thing you got to do is win the division. And, you'd feel a lot better about them being a Super Bowl. To me, whoever wins this game, like, you really start talking about Super Bowl contender. But when you look at the NFC, there's not an offense outside of Phillies that I think scares you the way Miami's does. Phillies scares you in a different way just because I think mobile quarterbacks are terrifying to the 49ers defense, right, over the years. But, like, I don't think there's anything that's going to happen in this game that would make me think they can't beat Minnesota or make me think they can't beat Tampa or Dallas or the Giants or the football team. I mean, just look at the NFC. So I think it would feel much better to win this game than it actually is bad to lose it. It would definitely be validating to win it, right? If they can find a way, and they don't have to shut anybody out in the second half necessarily. To me, what is most valuable outside of winning the game would be, can they score red zone touchdowns, man?
Right.
Can they score red zone touchdowns? I like to think half of that $. I get $1.
It is. I'll send it to you.
You can take the $1. I get the 99 cents.
Drop your Cash App or your Venmo. I got you. I'll send it over to you.
I think there are some specific things in this game that you want to see, specifically red zone. Like, to me, red zone touchdown. This is a playoff game. So the things that happen in this game are going to be the things that matter in the playoffs. And red zone touchdowns, it's when they got that turnover last week, I texted Middlecoff. I'm like, well, this field goal is going to be cool. Because it's just like
such a watch to it at this point.
Bro, right? I tweeted it. I've seen that Saints game 100 times. I've seen it 100 times. Score the field goal, don't score again forever. Now, they beat a team by 13. In the NFL, that's impressive when you do that. I'm not, but there were just things that have been happening that are really, it's why that, that touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey against the Rams was a big deal. And I think McCaffrey in the pass game is in some ways a bigger deal than McCaffrey in the run game. Although now that Elijah's hurt, McCaffrey in the run game is a big deal too. but Jimmy loves to hold it and rely on somebody getting open and his quick release. And McCaffrey really gives him a safety valve. And so Christian playing is a big deal. It's a big deal in the red zone. It's like, I know I'm deviating from the question you asked, but
Oh, you're good.
This matchup I think is fantastic. And when you have a matchup like that, losing that game, unless it really means something in the standings, is not like some big indication of who you can truly be. By the same token, I think if they can find a way to slow Tyreek down a little bit, that would be very impressive, right? Like, especially if Miami, like, you got to figure Miami's going to do quick game,
Especially
because
with
of
how
their
bad
offensive line situation.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's going to be a yak game for Miami's receivers, and that they're good at that. I think Tua has been impressive.
He has.
Which I'm not. He's the number 1 rated PFF quarterback. So whatever that means to you, I'm not breaking any ground. But yeah, man, I love this. I think part of it is just the uniforms, the whole thing is.
Yeah.
And then if you're Miami and you come on the road and win this game, Niners get Tampa Tampa plays on Monday night. So Niners get Tampa on a short week.
And then they have to go to Seattle.
And they got to go to Seattle. Football team's going to probably be over 500 when they play them.
I love that. Don't call them the Commanders. I hate that name. Why didn't they just stick with football team?
His football team is so good. I don't even call them football team because I hate Commanders. I just think football team is such a
It's so good. I got so used to it. I just hated that they changed it. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No. This will be the best win that they get if they get this game. It'll be the most impressive win. I mean, to this point, John brought it to me the other day. He's like, "Who's their best win?" I was like, "Seattle."
Yes, it is a playoff team.
But I don't think Seattle. Like, I think Seattle's different against the Niners than they are against everybody else, right? Gino leads the league in completion percentage when he's not under pressure, 77%. Well, you don't get to play that way against the Niners,
right?
So,
100%.
Seattle's not a playoff team right now, by the way.
They're out. Are they out right now?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I would suspect that. Well, let me shut up because I thought they were going to beat the Raiders, and they have wins in front of them, right? Like the Rams they face again. The Rams are just now
when they got and like right now the Giants are 6 and Washington 7, and they play each other twice in the next 2 weeks.
And I have a feeling, one of those teams is going to come down to earth. I'm betting on the Giants. I think that
but here's the other way to look at it. One of those teams is making the playoffs.
They are absolutely. And that goes back to your point about the NFC. Guy Haberman, thank you so much. I know we got like maybe 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
So, look, first of all, I think this game is a big revenge game for Brian Allen. I love bringing up that name because 49ers fans, like, have you ever like found a name? It's like you mentioned Brian Allen or Kyle Williams, and 49ers fans just lose their mind because they think about that one moment. Unfortunately, Brian Allen was out there in that 2020 game, which, whatever. We can laugh about it now. It was no laughing matter then, but, that was just 2 years ago. But I guess what everybody here wants to know is Aaron Judge coming back home, or is he going to stay with my beloved New York Yankees?
People want to know that?
Of course they do. Everybody, look.
Did he just unfollow the Yankees on like Instagram or something, Twitter or something?
He never followed them. So this is like the whole Debo situation all over again. It's so funny how certain 49er fans poo-pooed that and said, who cares that Debo unfollowed them? It doesn't matter. But then when Aaron Judge is not following the Yankees, he's coming home. It's just so funny how the narratives kind of flip up and down.
I think he's resigning with the Yankees.
Yes, me too.
I love, as you know, I am not a Yankee fan. My wife is. So I watch the Yankees every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy because their games are big. Their games feel big, right? A game at Yankee Stadium in the pinstripes. How could he? To me, it would take him being very insulted in negotiations to leave. And clearly, they are not going to be that far behind. They're not insulting him in negotiations, in other words, right? They're not lowballing him. And the problem for him is like in 2022, no GM really is like Farhan's not the guy to just start overpaying. Like all these guys kind of think the same. So I think he's going to be back. I thought it was a clever tactic. He's a Fresno State guy. I'm a Fresno State guy. Everybody, Aaron Judge is beloved as a person because he's an awesome dude. But so that's why I hate saying this. But that video the other day in San Francisco was clearly staged. It was fake. They've been trying to mess with the Yankees. All his interviews that he's done, Hal Steinbrenner shaking in his boots, all that kind of stuff. So yes, I think he'll be back.
Guy, I want to say this. It's funny. You and I speak more during baseball season than we do football season. Obviously, you're very busy. You're out calling, but like you and I speak, like, we message each other over. You say you watch the Yankees, and I'm the.
Because I know at like 4:00 Pacific, the one person who's definitely watching the Yankees is you. When I'm watching the S Network on the MLB app, or whatever, that you're watching the Yankees. So, like, when I could say, like, why did they trade Jordan Montgomery? I know I could just text you.
Yeah, dude. Oh my goodness, I hated that trade. But hey, Bader actually played pretty well down the stretch. All right, that's baseball talk and everything. Guy, thank you so much. You're
sorry about the photo you posted earlier. I understand.
I didn't post it. Guy, it wasn't me, man.
It was your Twitter account.
But Guy, I didn't make the photo. You know what?
Can I tell you something about that?
No.
So the guy, I remember taking that photo in like, probably late 2012 or early 13. For people who didn't see it, it's like I'm wearing like a V-neck sweater. And like a classic blue button up underneath.
It looks distinguished.
It's fine. The guy that took that photo is a guy named Pat Johnson, who's like, his office is down. Like, I guess that's who the radio station used for the photos, whatever. Legendary, like rock. Like if you go to his portfolio, it's like, Biggie, E40, Tom Petty, right? It's like that guy had to take that photo. I don't know how much they paid him to do radio headshot of me in a Banana Republic V-neck, but he must have been thinking, this one just pays the mortgage. Like, click.
Wow. All right, look, I apologize for that. I thought there was nothing wrong with the picture, but I hear you.
Oh, well, if you thought there was nothing wrong with it, then that's fine. You were sunglasses and a
I didn't make the photo. Guy, look, I know your time is valuable, man. I just want to say thank you, not only for doing this, but for being someone that I consider a friend in this, someone who, whenever I need advice, because I'm so new and doing media, man, I really appreciate you, man. You're one of the genuine nice guys, and you don't ever have to talk to me. And I wouldn't feel any way about it, you're so busy and everything. I appreciate you.
No, man. I anything you need, whenever you need it, holler at me. And you're not that new anymore, so.
That's true. I mean, but hey, we've seen each other now in person. We've actually spoken. So we're, like I said, I consider you a friend, and I thank you so much for carving out some time for me. So that's going to be the show. It's a quick one because Guy's very busy. He's got things to do, but make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. I know that you guys are subscribed, but if you're not, Haberman and Middle Call Podcast, that's where you'll find Guy Haberman. You also see him with Will Blackman, right? Doing Pac-12 now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, those were Will and I did Mountain West games last few months.
Oh, Mountain West games.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. So you'll catch Guy on Fox Sports as well too. And and then, Guy, we'll talk and we'll commiserate after Judge signs back. But thank you for your time. Thank you guys for watching. We're out of here. Welcome everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte.